What's up gamers? My name's Max and I'm the guy who created Hydroneer. Today we've got some more 2.0 news to go through. I still haven't got to the bottom of the list of all the cool new features coming in the 2.0 update. So I'm going to show you 3 new things we've been working on this week, which I'm really excited to be showing off. Also, I've got the news that everybody wants to be hearing about, and that is if everything goes to plan with what we're currently doing, the private closed beta will be open from about April. This might move forward or backwards slightly, but we're aiming for April right now. If you'd like more info about how to join the closed beta test, we're going to be giving access to active members of the community from our Discord server. There is more info about that in our Discord server linked below. Now, I don't know about you guys, but having all of my life savings fly away in a truck is pretty inconvenient. So we're going to combat that by taking all of the vehicle code that's in Hydroneer 1.7 and throwing it away. Instead, I've enlisted the help of Snaps. He's come along and remade the entire vehicle system from the ground up. His brain is a lot bigger than my chimp brain, so the results have been pretty good so far. If you guys haven't noticed already, the 2.0 update is actually a complete rewrite of the entire game. About 99% of the entire code base of Hydroneer has been completely remade by myself and by others. So using the PhysX system, we wanted to build our own vehicle system that was simple to use and didn't really have any things like complex torque curves or anything to play with. The main goal of this was to have a fun vehicle system to use, and of course, for vehicles not to be flying off into the atmosphere. Something that makes a vehicle system really fun to use is suspension. And we created quite a simple method of doing this. Basically, each wheel does a trace down to the ground. The distance to the ground basically goes into a formula, and then that gives a bit of springing kind of power up into the vehicle. This then happens on all 4 wheels, and you get a nice simple suspension system that is fun to use. When the suspension forces relax, that's when we add negative force towards the ground to give the vehicle a bit more of a grippy feel. We simplified torque as well to be a lot more linear since we're not using a transmission in this vehicle setup. Then we did a little bit of hacky game developer magic where you add torque depending on the angle of the vehicle so then it can get up hills a little bit easier. Next, like any good driving game, we added in drifting. Now for drifting, we actually used a Pacejiker tire model, a Pacejiker tire model. I'm not going to explain it because it's basically just some nerdy shit. Then we actually modeled friction in a bit of an unrealistic way. It's quite similar to how Quake 3 handles their player friction. Basically, if the player is on flat ground, then they have more friction. So that's about it. A cool side effect we actually found out with testing as well is that if you put someone in the back of the truck, they can stay there. This is something that Epic introduced into the Unreal Engine with the take of Fortnite. When a character is on a moving object, it inherits the velocity of that moving object. So you can kind of be thankful for Fortnite for that one. This is actually one of the decisions we've made into how the vehicles are going to work now. The vehicles are all going to have 1 seat. So that means if you're playing as a second player, you can hop in the back of the truck, which is actually quite fun sitting in the back of that. Obviously, when the vehicle is doing flips and stuff, you're going to fall out. But for the most part, you can stay in the vehicle pretty damn well. Lastly, we've also added in some cool little brake and reverse lights as well. They don't really have too much functionality. They just kind of look cool. With this, we've also updated the libraries of all the vehicles. So all of the vehicle textures have been updated, and I, for one, think they look much nicer.
So future Max here, I actually forgot to mention in this part of the video that due to an overwhelming amount of you guys who actually requested it, we added in a system for you to manually flip the truck out of control, kind of like how it does right now. And we don't really know how we're going to implement this. We were thinking maybe you press like a certain amount of like kind of key presses in a certain order, but we're not really sure. So Let us know in the comments below and maybe we'll pick yours or maybe we won't. Anyway, back to the video.
So about 8 months ago, you may have remembered a video that we made. Basically, we were looking at the new characters of Hydroneer and I wasn't completely happy with how they turned out. I thought they did look cool at the time, but then over time, I kind of realized that I didn't really like them. So we enlisted the help of Joe. You might know him from working on the cool indie game Swords and Magic and stuff. If you don't know about the game already, you should definitely check it out. With 2.0, you'll be able to customize your character. Now we're going to start off with just a few features and then we're going to build on it as we release more updates in the future. You're going to be able to swap out your beard, your hair, your skin color and your shirt color starting off, but obviously in the future we'll be making more additions to the system with things like possibly hats and being able to be a female character and having more outfits to choose from, stuff like that. If you didn't catch the last video where I mentioned it, we've got quite a few plans for after 2.0 comes out. For 2.1, we've got this farming season update, which is going to be really fun. This is actually going to introduce NPCs into 2.0. One of the things is with these characters is right now in 2.0, we don't really have too much use for them. But with the farming update, there'll be some mechanics that tie into the NPCs, so there's no point rushing to put them in now. We're gonna add them in the 2.1 update, which is gonna come a few months probably after 2.0. After 2.1, we also have the 2.2 update, which is gonna be the tier 3 update. This is going to expand the amount of items in the game into Hydroneer and also add in some new digging mechanics. I'm not going to go into any of that right now, but it's something to be really excited about in the future. After these updates, there's going to be plenty more things coming to Hydroneer. I don't really see an end of development for Hydroneer just yet. 6 months ago, you may have caught another video that we made, basically checking out the new area in the game, Icehelm. It's kind of this dwarven-esque abandoned city deep below one of the mountains in Hydroneer. Now, when I made that video, I kind of briefly mentioned that there's going to be some mechanics, and today we're going to be looking at some of those mechanics. As you guys already know, there is a mining claim deep underneath the ground as well, which we're not really going to be going into, although it is a pretty cool mining claim. One of the cool things about it is it's actually horizontal, meaning instead of digging down to get better resources, you dig across to get better resources. This is something we want to test out, and in the future when we're expanding the world of Hydroneer, we might add in more of these horizontal dig sites if this one works out. So what's this new mechanic all about? Well, it's called Masterwork crafting. Inside Icehelm is this massive anvil. Using the anvil, you can craft essential machines for your mining operation. This is the new progression in Hydroneer. Instead of snowballing your way into buying loads of stuff, we've added in this fun new crafting system. Essentially what happens is your tier 1 drill and harvester can be bought from the traveling merchant. However, there's only one drill and one harvester that this traveling merchant will sell you. After that, you have to head into the Icehelm mountain to craft any more machines you want. Obviously, we do have the tier 1 machines, but we also have the tier 2 machines that are coming in as well. If you didn't catch the last video, the tier 2 drill can actually dig a little bit deeper than the tier 1 drill. Basically, the depth of the claims is now done in tiers, and a certain shovel, pickaxe, and drill can only work at certain tiers, whereas the harvesters can only process dirt from those tiers. So the tier 1 harvester can only process dirt from the tier 1 level, whereas the tier 2 harvester can process dirt from the tier 1 and the tier 2 level. So how does this system work? Well, you take one of these things called designs. Now, designs list the materials on the front of them. They're about maybe this big, and they're used with the Masterwork crafting. Now what you do is you take one of these designs, you put it in the plinth in front of the anvil. Once it's on there, it's registered that that's the thing that it's going to make, and then you take all the required resources, which sometimes can actually be multiple resources. You take those resources, you put them in the crucible, and then you swing the hammer. Once the lever is pressed, this happens. And then it crafts whatever you've put in the plinth. Now, of course, there's excess metal from the crucible that you've put in there, which spawns bars down at the bottom of the anvil. This is a really fun new crafting system, and I cannot wait for it to be added in the game for 2.0. Now we're starting off 2.0 with 6 different things you can craft on the Masterwork anvil. 2 of these things are new intake pressure boosters. The way these work is essentially they snap onto the intake pipe and they boost the amount of pressure going into the pipe from the intake. These are actually really useful and a great addition to the new update. Now there's one more thing I want to be talking about in today's video, and that's sound. Our sound designer Dan has come in the game and recreated a lot of the ambient sounds and updated the way they worked. Before they were kind of like a hacky, quick implementation that I did years ago, and now we've actually made them a lot nicer. Now you'll be able to hear the wind and the water and the birds from the trees a lot easier, which makes up a really, really nice soundscape. It might not be noticeable at first, but check out this video. I hope you guys are really excited for this update because I really am. I think it's going to be a terrific update, and if you have been enjoying Hydroneer, please remember to consider leaving us a Steam review. We're a small team and it really does help us out to leave us one. Thanks for watching everyone, and I will see you all next month.